If you're overweight and a type 2 diabetic, or even just overweight, which is a form of prediabetes, then you should know that you don't need carbs at all. Heck, even if you are healthy, you don't need carbs at all. Not a single gram of it. Let's get into this subject today. Insulin is a fat storage hormone, and its job is to regulate the amount of glucose in your blood by storing it in fat cells. Insulin also makes us feel hungry if there's too much of it in our blood system, which is one of the sources of problems for those who are overweight and diabetic. Everything you eat is carbohydrate, protein, or fat, and they all have very different effects on glucose and insulin levels. When you eat carbs, your insulin will spike, and when you eat protein, it's a much lower spike and provides more prolonged energy versus the quick spike of carbs. Now, when we eat fat, there's almost no spike in insulin at all. This is very important to make a mental note of. Sarah Hallberg shared this scenario in a TED Talk. Let's say, for example, you go out for American Chinese food because the Chinese don't eat the stuff that we eat and call it Chinese food. The first issue with the American version of Chinese food is you eat a lot of it because it takes a long time to get the signal that you are full from eating it. You will overeat because you don't feel full until you're literally feeling the food on the base of your throat. Then the other issue that happens with that meal, in an hour, you'll be starving because the rice in that meal caused the glucose and insulin to skyrocket, which triggered hunger, fat storage, and cravings. All this from a meal you probably thought was healthy. Because of the extra insulin in our bodies, we're still hungry. That hormone needs to do something. It can't sit around, so it sends the food craving signals to your brain and then becomes a vicious cycle. This cycle is this. You eat carbs. Glucose goes up. Insulin goes up. Hunger and fat storage both get triggered in your body, which in turn gives you the craving to eat more carbs. And what's crazy to me is that the accepted dietary recommendation of the FDA, this is how they're telling us to eat. Knowing the above, can you see why maybe you're having issues controlling your blood sugar levels and struggling to lose weight? Doctors give you pills and insulin shots to control your blood sugar levels and tell you that you must eat carbs or else your blood sugar levels will drop to dangerously low levels, which is true, but then we're stuck in this horrible cycle until we die? We are told as type 2 diabetics to consume 40 to 65 grams of carbohydrates per meal, plus more if we eat snacks. That's way too many carbs. We are being told to eat exactly what is causing the problems for the type 2 diabetic to begin with, which frankly is absolutely crazy, yet we do it and get frustrated by the lack of results we see in our health. We are in a state of glucose toxicity, and we keep adding more toxins in with each of these so-called healthy meals. We're also insulin resistant as type 2 diabetics. The American Diabetes Association, or ADA, guidelines specifically state that there is inconclusive evidence to recommending a specific carbohydrate limit. Then those guidelines go on to state what we all know now is that carbohydrate intake is the single biggest factor of blood sugar levels and therefore the need for medication. And of course, if you take medication, then you have to eat carbs or else you're in danger of hypoglycemia, which is dangerously low blood sugar levels from chemicals you added to your body in the way of pills and insulin, instead of allowing your body to naturally regulate and do that job that it knows how to do for thousands of years. This is why when I'm fasting for many days, drinking only water, I haven't taken a single shot of insulin or a single pill for type 2 diabetes since April 2019. I don't get hypoglycemic. My body knows what it needs to do to maintain my energy and my health. I have fat stores that my body can turn to for this, and when I'm finally at my ideal weight, I can start to reintroduce carbs at a healthy amount, about 20 grams for an entire day, which is what a ketogenic meal plan recommends. This also assumes that I have finally fought back the insulin resistance and toxic blood glucose levels. Now, I'll be honest and say that I'm not a perfect person and made many mistakes. Sometimes the donuts at the office are hard to resist, and I beat myself up when I lost the willpower not to eat one. But it gets easier when I remember the science behind the why and use techniques to beat the urge to splurge. The ADA and your doctor will unfortunately never share the practical advice to help you finally beat back the disease, so we have to take action for ourselves. I am proof that you can live insulin and pill free. I said in a YouTube video before that you must choose your heart. It's hard to fast and be disciplined about the food we eat, but it's way harder to suffer low quality of life in the future, of organ failure, amputations, and blindness from this horrible disease. I like what one dietitian said before: eat foods that don't have a nutrition label. That makes meal selection a lot easier. Avoid chemical-drenched foods because food can be poisonous or it can be natural medicine if you choose wisely. Remember that your daily recommended dosage of carbohydrates is 0. You need essential amino acids, which are proteins, essential fatty acids, but you absolutely don't need carbs. Carbohydrates are not essential for our diets to survive. A nutrient is essential if we have to have it to function, and we can make it from something else. The fact is, our body makes glucose all the time, which, by the way, is what carbohydrates are broken down into in our bodies, into glucose, and that process is called gluconeogenesis, and our body makes plenty of it all the time. So we don't need carbs that are converted to glucose, and we consume too much of it, which causes us to become overweight and diabetic. It really is as simple as that. The hard part is executing the information, but at least you knowing it will give you both the why and the empowerment to do what's right for your health and the health of your family. It has for me, and that's why it's important that this information gets out, and that's why I do this. Insulin resistance has been attributed to 42% greater chance of heart attacks. So, is this a diabetic cure? Well, if it was a cure, then there would be no chance of getting type 2 diabetes again in the future if this worked forever. And it absolutely can, but we are human and we make mistakes, and it's really hard to always be a healthy eater if you fall off the wagon. Of course, you will contract the symptoms of type 2 diabetes again. But if you know how to keep your body healthy, you can have a high quality of life free of diabetes and the medication when you bring these good habits back long term. That's why to this day I still wear my CGM, and I make sure to measure how my body is doing at all times. This stuff I speak about works. I wouldn't be sharing it if it didn't. I wouldn't be so passionate about this if I wasn't bringing results for me and for those in my life who have chosen to also take this information to heart. I hope for the sake of your health and your family that you do as well. Feel free to comment below and send me a message from the healthwealthandrealestate.com website on the Get in Touch link at the top of the webpage, and please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future educational videos. I hope you found this video helpful and eye-opening, and wish you the best in your health. I'm also a resource if you'd like to learn more.